Hey, Joy Seekers, welcome back to Find the Joy with Jen. Today, we're diving into a topic that I know hits close to home for so many of us: trust. If you have been through divorce, especially one where your trust was shattered by betrayal, emotional abuse, or neglect, or just someone else's choice to end the marriage, then you know how hard it is to trust again. When a marriage ends, especially one rooted in faith, the damage often goes so much deeper than the relationship itself. It can shatter your trust in yourself, your former spouse, and your ability to make good decisions, and even your trust in God. But here's the good news: trust is not lost forever. It can be rebuilt, and that rebuilding starts with you. Today, I'm going to discuss some powerful truths from the book, The Speed of Trust by Stephen M. R. Covey, especially his 13 behaviors of high trust leaders. These aren't just leadership tools, they are life tools, and they are incredibly relevant to anyone healing from divorce. And you don't need to have read the book. I've got you. If you've ever had trust issues with your ex, or even your toaster, you're in the right place, friend. Spoiler alert, you can trust this channel. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I have got your back. Let's start with the basis of trust inside yourself. Covey starts with self trust, and that's where we will begin too. After divorce, especially when betrayal, infidelity, or emotional distance are involved, many people lose trust in their own judgment. You might be asking, how did I not see this coming? Can I ever trust myself again? Was I just blind? Covey shares four cores of credibility to rebuild self trust. The first is integrity. Are you being honest with yourself? And are your actions aligned with your values? The second is intent. Are you living with pure motives? Are you acting out of bitterness or out of a desire for peace and healing? Third is capabilities. Are you reminding yourself of your strengths and skills, or are you stuck in shame and self doubt? And the fourth is results. Are you showing up for your healing, even if the progress is slow? Healing starts when you rebuild credibility within yourself. Start making small promises to yourself and show up. Show up for yourself. Show up for your coaching sessions, for weekly calls. Honor your boundaries and pray even when it's hard. Trust builds slowly but steadily. So start showing up for yourself and you will gradually rebuild your self trust. One of the most painful parts of divorce is broken trust with the person you once had a life with. And Covey lists 13 behaviors of high trust leaders and individuals, many of which apply directly to relationships. Not just your relationship with your former spouse, but all of your relationships in your life. So let's talk about a few that come up a lot in divorce recovery. The first is straight talk. Were there lies or half truths in your marriage? Be honest with yourself and with others. This is the basis of all integrity and honesty, is being honest with yourself. The second is demonstrate respect. Were your conversations reduced to shouting matches? If so, I want to challenge you to practice speaking with respect for yourself and with others. Treat yourself and others with dignity, even if they don't quote unquote deserve it. You will be honoring and respecting yourself if you continue to speak and act in integrity. The third is create transparency. Have you been dealing with secrets and lies? Clarity is kindness. So be transparent, be clear about what you're feeling, needing, or even planning for the future. The fourth is right wrongs. Did you take accountability or did you avoid it? Now is the time to overcome these bad habits that maybe you had in your marriage and start living with integrity and building trust within yourself and all of your relationships. So start now by apologizing where you need to in your life. Own your part, even if it's just a small percentage. The fifth behavior of a high trust leader or individual is showing loyalty. Were you thrown under the bus, especially in front of other family or even your children? Make sure you speak about others as if they were present, even your former spouse. Each of these behaviors helps us install our internal credibility. For example, straight talk might mean you finally admit that I'm not okay right now instead of pretending that you've got it all together. One of my clients, Rachel, felt like a fraud because she was still struggling emotionally 6 months after her divorce. When she finally shared her true feelings and all of the emotional turmoil she was going through with a few close, trusted friends, instead of putting on a brave face and pretending like everything was all right, her relationships deepened. That honesty helped her feel seen and helped her trust herself again. So let's talk about relationship trust. What if they broke your trust? The second wave of trust focuses on our closest relationships and behaviors that help restore and build new trust with others post divorce. So, friendships, romantic relationships, even the relationship with your co parent. And of course, that includes your former spouse, your children, and maybe even a new partner one day. If you are co parenting or living in the same ward or close by your former spouse and still processing betrayal, this wave of behaviors is critical. So let's talk about the next 5 behaviors that will help you rebuild trust in others. Number 6 is deliver results. So be dependable, especially to your kids. Do what you say you will do. Show up when you say that you will show up. The seventh behavior is get better. Use your divorce as the ideal opportunity to grow better. Commit to self improvement and growth during this time of healing. The eighth behavior is confront reality. Really face the hard stuff. Don't avoid uncomfortable truths. This is something that we really tackle head on in coaching, and I love it because it lets you recognize areas you haven't wanted to look at in the past. The ninth behavior is clarify expectations. Misunderstandings destroy trust. So, clear, kind communication builds it. Speak deliberately, clearly, and calmly, and all of your communication will improve when you do this. The 10th behavior is practice accountability. Really take ownership for everything in your life. Own your part of the failures that happen in your marriage and in that relationship. Don't deflect responsibility or play the blame game. Nothing good will come of it. Really own as much as you can of your behaviors inside that relationship. The 11th behavior is listen first. Covey teaches that we should seek to understand before being understood. This behavior alone will improve all of your relationships. So let's be honest, broken trust in a marriage often involves a violation of these very behaviors. I get that. That's why this list can feel raw. It can also be clarifying when you decide who to trust moving forward by watching how they behave in each of these areas. It will help you know who you can and can't trust. And more importantly, you can become a trustworthy, healing presence for your children, your friends, and even your future self. So, one of my clients, Michael, struggled with co parenting because his former spouse frequently changed plans, sometimes at the last minute. But instead of getting angry, he used the clarify expectations behavior to calmly email her a monthly schedule and agree ahead of time on the plans, and followed that up with calm, clear, direct communication when she tried to change plans. This one small act reduced so much drama and it helped him show up much more peacefully for his children. Let's talk about trusting God again. We're going to shift into a deeply personal and spiritual side of trust. Some of you have said, I trusted God with my marriage. I prayed and fasted and I went to the temple and I did everything right. Why didn't He save my marriage? Now, this is really sacred ground, and I want to hold the space for this place if that's where you are. The speed of trust doesn't directly talk about faith, but it does teach that trust is built on consistent experience and contribution. And we know God can do so much to help us in all of our trials and struggles. And we know that God wants all marriages to succeed, where both people are committed and willing to do the work to make that happen. But He also respects our agency. And if that's not possible in your case because of the agency of another person, then He will help you heal and grow stronger through this process. Covey's 12th behavior, keep commitments, hits really close to home here. Do we still show up for our spiritual habits, prayer and scripture study and worshiping in the temple and in sacrament meeting when we feel unsure about our faith and everything that's happening in our lives? Do we keep our covenant connection even when it's hard? This is a critical phase of rebuilding trust. The 13th and final behavior is extending trust. Now, this is the hardest and the bravest. Choosing to trust again after your trust has been broken. It's important that you do it with wisdom and not naivety. That's what God does with us constantly. He continues to extend His trust to us. He believes in our potential, in our healing, and in our comeback story, even when we doubt ourselves. One of my clients, Carla, came to coaching and said she couldn't even pray anymore. She felt so abandoned by the Lord, but she committed to just sitting quietly for a few minutes every day. And over time, those quiet moments became conversations with God again. She began to feel His Spirit return in small ways, and that brought her back to trusting God in her healing. It is a journey, friends. I know that. So many times I say divorce is a brutal marathon. It is hard and ongoing. But if you are committed to doing this work and healing and rebuilding trust again in your journey, you can do it. Many of you have said, I'm not sure I will ever trust another relationship again. And I get that. I remember feeling that way myself. That's okay. You don't have to trust quickly or easily. I wouldn't rush it at all. But you can learn to trust wisely, friend. Trust after divorce does not come all at once. It comes brick by brick, behavior by behavior, decision by decision. Covey introduces the idea of smart trust, balancing discernment with openness. This means that you watch for integrity, intent, capabilities, and results, and then extend trust gradually, not naively. Set boundaries, but allow room for connection. This is where the 13 behaviors come full circle. Trust isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up over and over with clarity, kindness, and consistency, especially for yourself. You don't have to rush to trust your former spouse or a new partner or even yourself, but I want to challenge you to start rebuilding trust today by choosing just one of these 13 behaviors and start practicing it today. One of my clients, James, after being betrayed in his marriage, was hyper vigilant when he went through divorce and started dating again. But instead of shutting down, he used the behaviors to guide him in his interactions with his dates. He asked better questions and he noticed how someone treated a wait staff in a restaurant, how they owned mistakes, and how they clarified expectations. Eventually, he found someone who didn't just say all the right things, they represented themselves with integrity, and he was able to trust them and start a new relationship. So, remember, you do not have to rush to trust anyone, but you can start rebuilding trust today by choosing just one of these 13 behaviors to start practicing. Rebuilding trust does not mean rushing trust. It means rebuilding it brick by brick, one behavior at a time, even one prayer at a time, friend. Practice one boundary, one conversation, one journal entry at a time. When you do, you can learn to trust yourself again. You can trust God again. And you can, when you're ready, trust others again. Not because it's easy, but because trust is healing. It's a necessary part of living in the world today as a healthy, healed person. And that is what I want for you, my friend. You can do it. Rebuilding trust takes community. So, like this video if it has helped you and share in the comments. I would love to know. Rebuilding, what is one small way that you are committed to learn to trust again? I'd love to hear about it. Which of these 13 behaviors stood out most to you today? Is there one that you're already practicing or one you want to try this week? If so, send me a message, journal about it, or better yet, share this episode with someone else walking this road of healing after divorce. Until next time, Joy Seekers, keep showing up, keep choosing to trust, and keep finding joy, my friends. Bye, y'all.